we're on a grand adventure.
I think
God made such a beautiful world. Can you believe this? To travel the world and blog my way around the world. Oh, well, I'll start a YouTube channel. How hard can it be?
Welcome back to the Cypress Room, where we dive deep on influencing with integrity. This is a podcast for creators, and I'm Meggie Honeycutt.
And I'm Christina Mascari, and we are about to do our first in-person interview in my home, in the Cypress Room.
Yes.
We're really excited about this. This is a milestone for us.
It is.
And we have some really big YouTubers here, and we're going to introduce them right now.
This is our story. We're two ordinary people living an extraordinary life of full-time world travel. We are just like many people. We went to school, worked hard, raised a family, saved money, and retired. And then we said, let's sell it all and travel the world. Now, we live by the C.S. Lewis quote, "You're never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream." Our goal has not only been to create a YouTube channel, but to create a beautiful website where you can plan your own adventure around the world with travel guides and inspiration. Our hope is that you will use our resources to plan your own trip with confidence and return time and again to plan the next one. We hope you will subscribe to our newsletter and follow our travel journal as we experience the beauty of this great big world. We're John and Bev, and we are the Retirement Travelers.
Okay, you guys, there's nothing more than I love than having YouTubers in the Cypress Room. So we want to welcome to the Cypress Room, John and Bev Martin, the Retirement Travelers.
Hi, guys. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for having us. We feel so honored to be here.
We feel honored that you just drove all the way down from Louisville. How long was that?
Just over 3 hours.
3 hours. They drove 3 hours to be here, you guys. So I love that we have been trying to make this interview happen forever. And I'll just give a little side story before we dive in, because they have a very successful YouTube channel, over 116,000 subscribers. And it's all about traveling. They're retired and they travel all around the world and they share their adventures with everyone. And how I met them was on a cruise last year with my family, and they were wearing these amazing shirts that they're wearing right now. And I saw that they had a YouTube channel. Y'all know I'm going to go up to them and be like, oh my gosh, you YouTube? I have a YouTube channel too. Can we be friends? Let's hang out. And just met them in passing. And then I think we ran into each other again in the hallway. And that was just like our one connection point. So I've stayed in contact with you. I was like, I want to interview you. But they've been traveling all over the world and sometimes don't have the best internet, right?
That's right.
Correct.
And it just happened like last week. I messaged them. They're like, we're actually going to be in Louisville. Can we drive down? And I said, yes, please come down. So that is like a fun story about how I met them. But let's just dive in. What do you guys want to talk about first? How in the world did you become YouTubers?
Oh, my goodness.
Well,
I'll let Bev start.
It's kind of a long story, not really a long story, but we started out with the idea, John was going to retire. And I said, I'd been a stay-at-home mom for five kids. And, my life was raising kids and supporting John and, but he was going to retire. And I said, I'd kind of like to travel the world and blog my way around the world. So that was the first thing. And he said, I'll start a YouTube channel. How hard can it be?
I love that. I knew nothing.
I love that.
We knew nothing about blogging. We knew nothing about, somebody said, you've got to learn about SEO. And we're like, what is that? And it just sent us down this huge rabbit hole of not knowing anything. But we started off, so that was December of 2019.
Oh, wow.
And you know what happened next?
Yeah.
We were about to leave to go to Italy, and the pandemic happened. And so at that time I said, why stop what we're going to do? Let's just let's buy an Airstream travel trailer, because we had always thought one day we'll go see all the national parks in the U.S. And so we bought an Airstream trailer and we took off. So for the next 2 years, we lived during the pandemic outside in an Airstream, and we hauled it around 40,000 miles. We visited all the rest of the states we had not visited, and we visited all 51 national parks in the lower 48.
And we had never spent a single night in a RV before that time.
Wow.
2 weeks, we made a decision in 2 weeks, cancel everything, travel during the pandemic, and go see the country.
And it was really good for us as YouTuber. Well, we quickly learned we were in over our heads with trying to blog and YouTube, and YouTube kind of took over, and we ended up having to, it was good for us to be in the U.S. where we had access to,
Best Buy.
Yeah.
We need another cord.
We need a cord. We need this. We need that. So that was kind of good. But yeah, that's kind of how we started. And we always knew we wanted to travel the world. So it was good to get our feet wet in the U.S. We knew we weren't going to be RVers forever.
And the first few weeks was calling our kids, hey, we need you to subscribe because we got to get 100 subscribers so we can get our name, after the on the URL.
YouTube.com
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
Okay, so that was your first goal.
That was our first goal.
100
subscribers.
Yeah.
So that was our first big goal, and then the next big goal was 1,000. So we didn't get to 1,000 subscribers until after our first year.
It took a whole year, and things were a little slow that first year. We were learning what we were doing. We were learning
we weren't
how to
very
RV.
good.
We weren't very good.
We were awful.
And it was just constantly trying to stay caught up, while we're hitting national parks and meeting people. And so, but a funny thing happened that first year was we left our home. We still had a home in Florida.
Okay, that was going to be my question. You sold your home, and then all of a sudden the pandemic
we
hit.
still
You were
had
like,
a home. We
crap.
really had no thoughts, about selling the home.
Okay.
But an entire year in an RV in 200 square feet or whatever it was made us realize, you know what? We are seeing amazing things around the country. We love spending time and building something together.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't need a home.
Yeah.
And
So instead of our life being contained in our home during COVID, we were outside. So our windshield, out of our front windshield, we saw the best of the country. We saw seashores and caves and mountains and deserts and streams and rivers. And our life was just everything big and beautiful. And it was the best thing for us now as we travel the world. We know our country, and I'm glad we didn't save it for later, because if you're going to see national parks, you need to do it when you can, when you can hike
and enjoy it.
Well, and what a different experience of the pandemic than the majority of people had to, have the world
right
at your window to live outside. I'm curious, as you were traveling and creating content that first year, what resources were you using to learn? Was YouTube your resource?
Was our resource.
Okay.
We knew no one who YouTubed. We didn't have any friends who did it, and our friends kind of were like, you're kind of crazy.
Well, we knew what bad was, so when we started off, I did like the
always
first.
has to start off bad.
I did the first 5 videos and I got fired. I'd had a career for 35 years and I got fired in retirement after 5
Wait, now what
videos.
did you do before you retired? If you don't mind me
I
asking.
worked in manufacturing
Okay.
for 34 years for the same company.
Okay.
And I worked all over the United States and some international work. So
Okay, what type was it? Like sales or for engineering or?
No, I'm an engineer
You're an
background.
engineer. Okay.
And I did technical work for many years and then operational leadership. So I ran plants across the United States.
Okay.
So it was a good career. I had the best support framework possible. Bev, we had 5 kids. Bev was basically my my rock at work and allowed me to excel in a career while she did basically everything else.
Wow.
And so our roles are kind of shifted. Now she's the brains of retirement travelers.
So cool.
And I do whatever I can to help support her now.
And I went to art school. So, my background was in design. So I had that. I worked in advertising when I graduated from art school. So I had a background of advertising. And so I kind of had that first creative little thing. And then as we raised kids and I chose to be a stay-at-home mom, I was always looking for creative things to do. I mean, I would repair the house. John would go on a trip and he would come home and I would remodel a whole room.
New floor,
All right, he'd come home and I'd say, "Oh, I've been insulating the crawl space. I've been, this weekend."
We're gonna have to talk about that because I need to insulate.
I know how to do it.
I'm gonna take you upstairs later.
Yeah. And so I could change light fixtures. So I redid furniture. I redid everything. I just did everything I could creatively around the house. I gardened. I had pretty flowers, and so this was just kind of like, but somebody said something to us when we moved to Florida and we were living in we weren't in a over 55 neighborhood, but everybody was, right?
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a snowbird neighborhood. And somebody said, the corporate world missed out on you, Bev. And I thought, I did kind of miss that. John would come home from work and I would be like, tell me what's going on at work. And, what projects do you have going on? So a lot of times we would brainstorm a problem he might have faced. And so
she did most of the work in my career too.
I didn't do that. But it was fun. And so when he retired, I thought, okay, this is my turn to do something.
Yeah, so you have that story brain mind, I think, which just like serves so well in YouTube. And sometimes you like are operating in it and you don't even realize you're operating in it until you talk to other people and they're like, I don't see the world that way. You're like, oh, I thought everybody's storyboards the world. Yeah. So I love that you could just take something that you've always been good at and that you had a passion for, and it just like has translated into this new thing you're doing.
Now John he laughs that I do the work, but I don't do the work. It takes two of us to do this, and it really does.
I do 50% and she does 80%.
Okay. So who does the bulk of the editing? Are you doing the bulk of the editing? Okay.
Yeah, I do the editing because John's engineering mind doesn't work in editing like
I bet you can do it really fast. It just might not be the prettiest thing to look at.
I'm not as artistic and creative as she is.
Okay. But he's very good at answering people's comments, and he answers questions, and he's a very people person, and so that that does very well. And he's also good at watching analytics, and he can tell us, this is happening or this is performing better, and so it's the combo between the two. And when we put out a blog, we write about something, he does all of the SEO behind the scenes. It requires somebody like that because I'm not really that kind of person.
I love this. You guys are a dynamic duo.
I know. And I'm just
Strengths
so
and weaknesses
curious
coming together.
Yes, of how you plan all this out. Do you plan your travel? I heard you say like a year in advance. Like you plan pretty
where
far.
We're going in a year.
And then how do you plan content alongside of that? When you're going somewhere, is it organic? Are you just like
a lot of
filming
it is
as you
organic.
go? But then you have some series that are more teachable moments. So how do you coordinate all that?
We have a couple of, so as we've learned lessons along the way about creating content, and when we first started, it was kind of like, let's gun and go. Let's just grab the camera and let's try to be authentic and just, organically, and then we would kind of create a story. But a lot of times we would start off with, this is going to be kind of the story, and then sometimes it was like, okay.
Well, this is Thursday night. We got to get a video out by Saturday, and we haven't started yet.
Yeah.
So let's come up with something.
But we've kind of learned that we've kind of been thinking about what we want our future to be, because trying to balance, if you're a YouTuber, it's, as you know, it's a lot of work. If you're a blogger, it's a lot of work. And we kind of jumped into both.
I don't know how you're doing both of those.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who does both of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
well,
or all three.
Yeah, or all three, yes.
And it's hard. Yeah. So what we've decided to do this year, we were in South Africa, and we had decided to stop for a month and kind of catch up on our work, because there's work to do. And we were sitting there, and I said, we could do this back home while the grandkids are at school, and we could be, so we're going to kind of shift our travels around. So going forward, the focus needs to be on having a grand journey. That's part of our goal, is to travel well. And so while we're on the road, we will film, we will take photographs, we'll go research restaurants, and we'll go do excursions and events. But we're going to wait until we get home to put the content together.
Okay.
And so home is wherever we are, but because we don't have a home, but if we're at our kids' house, we'll work on the content. So we're going to take a little bit longer breaks at home and travel, and then come back and put it all together, even if it slows down our channel a little bit, because we need balance. And we found that as we've become creators, that YouTube, when we started, we thought, to build an audience, you need to create your story and let people follow you, learn who you are, and they'll tune in every week. But that's not really what people do. People go to YouTube for how-tos. They want to know how to do something, and they don't necessarily want to watch us travel. So our travel vlogs have not always been really popular compared to some of our other content when we're telling how to do something. Like we did travel school, where we taught the mechanics of how to travel. And those are popular. And so what we really think is our blog is we want to be more blog-centric and have that be how to go travel, what to do in Madrid, everywhere you need to go, and everything you need to see, because YouTube doesn't really give you that platform to be able to show all of that.
Right.
And
it's more searchable for the people who are traveling.
And you can update blogs. You can't update a YouTube
That is
video.
very true. This is a smart strategy,
And
guys.
I noticed that when I was watching your content, that it seemed like all your videos that were like a resource for somebody, that were very searchable, were all your most popular.
Yes.
But my other question is, as you go to be more blog centric, how do you decide what to offer out there as a free resource and what to perhaps monetize in like some type of online membership or a Patreon? Because the information you are giving is so valuable. I mean, I watched How to Get Cheap Business Class Tickets, and I felt like I just took a college class on how I can get a business class seat on a long haul flight. And it really is so rich in information for somebody. Can you walk us through, how do you decide, okay, I'm going to give this away for free, or maybe we should start monetizing it in a different way?
We've had that discussion many, many times, and we have resisted Patreon and other memberships because we're at a different stage of life. If we were just starting off in our 20s doing this and just needed the money to get by, we would probably think differently.
And we think it's really good for young creators.
And we think it's
that
great,
have
but we want to give back. We've had good careers and good lives, and we want to reach out to people of our generation and younger as well. And we just think, let's let the advertisers, pay for it, not our viewers. And so we try to make it viewer centric and keep everything free and provide good, helpful information to people.
But a lot of like YouTube and everybody's kind of going towards membership based and Patreon, and we just didn't want to put up a paywall for that. And we know that we're creating valuable content, but we also know that content on the web we can be monetized on our website. We're not monetized yet because we're still under the threshold of what we need, and we could be monetized, but we want to be in a good
program.
We want like Mediavine or something.
So we want to be a Mediavine, and so that requires 50,000 sessions a month, and we're not quite there. We're almost there, but we need to get there, and we kind of want to just give it for free and let the advertisers pay.
Yeah. I think that.
I mean, what we love more than anything is to get a note from someone that says, you have inspired us to sell our home, to downsize, to go travel, to do something, out of the ordinary. Our the C.S. Lewis quote of, you're never too old to dream a new dream or start a new goal. That we love that, and that's the way we live our lives, and we try to encourage and inspire other people to do that. So our payment, I mean, yes, we like money from YouTube every
Yeah.
month.
Yes.
Right.
But we really like those comments from people that we have changed their lives and that they think differently.
Yeah. And I mean, that's we have got to talk to a lot of creators and a lot of YouTubers. And like you're saying, money is great and it's great to be paid for the service that you're providing. But if you don't have that thing inside of you that you're like, no, I really honestly want to help people, you will burn out.
Yeah.
Like it will eventually end because at the end of the day, sometimes like money is just not worth it.
And I think you can be clever about how
Yeah.
you're making money, you know, affiliate links and things like that. People want to know what shortcuts we've taken, you know, what is the best electrical outlet or what is the best electrical, you know, or what we carry, or people want that and they want to support us. So they buy our products on our store, and we want to do things like that. We just want it to not feel like you have to be a member to be able to talk to us. Just send us a note and we'll answer your question.
Oh, I love that. And speaking of that, can you speak to the community that you built? Because I noticed as I'm looking through your comments, they are rich with information and conversations around travel and tips. And you guys are very active in your comments. Can you speak
Well,
to...
I have to give credit to John for that.
Yes, I did notice
he does
that.
this very well.
You know, we've gone back and forth. Should we answer all the comments? And you know, I think if someone spends the time to write a comment, I'll do everything I can to write back.
Yeah.
I miss a few here and there.
Yeah.
And sometimes people aren't nice, and occasionally, but
You're
you know,
put on the back burner.
but for the most part, people, you know, want to know information. They also, through our website, will send emails. And, you know, sometimes there's information we don't necessarily want out there publicly, but we will share, you know, with individually to someone. So
yeah, sometimes we say to people, send us an email and we'll answer this question, because you know there may be something about it that we want.
Well, now that you're back in the States, have you ever tried to do a meetup like in a city you're in?
We haven't.
We've been so busy just with kids. Both of our moms are in their late 80s.
Okay.
And so we're spending time with them, and we have 5 kids and 8 grandkids. So it's been pretty full so far.
And I imagine when you're in the
probably
States,
will.
like they want to see you.
We had a group of ladies in Maryland who reached out and said, we have a neighborhood, it's not a book club, but we have a neighborhood group.
Community.
Could you come talk to our group? And so we do that. And
in
then
October we're going to do that.
And then we have people who reach out to us, you know, as we travel. Hey, and we make it known. If you reach out, and we've also said, if you invite us to your home, watch out, because we'll come. And so,
They will.
They're here. And so you know, we've stayed with people in Sweden and in
New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
and different places in Alabama and other places, and people reach out and we keep a
I have a little spreadsheet of who
invitations
reached out. And if we're ever in the area, we will do
it because. And
so if you have a spare bedroom,
we have to go back to this because at the beginning I was like, we have some big YouTubers here, and you guys were laughing. I think this probably was off camera. You're like, oh, the lies are beginning, and I'm like, no, wait, because first of all, you've made it over 100,000 subscribers, not on Shorts, which is a big deal.
Yeah,
okay,
it is.
Yeah,
y'all need to know.
Shorts.
Y'all need to know that is very hard, and that your silver play button that you have is very well earned, and like. Hearing this type of community that you have, it is rare.
Yes,
I need you to know that
rare.
it's rare. To have people that want to meet you in person, that want to meet up, the reaching out, like what you are doing is special. So I don't ever want you to be like, oh, we're not, you are huge YouTubers, and the community you have is very deep and rich, and it's rare. So I want you to hear that, because I know a lot of YouTubers and I need you to hear that.
Well, we do have one fun story. We started wearing these shirts, and after we started growing, we started getting recognized around the world. And we were walking downtown Singapore, and 3 different people stopped us that day. John Bev.
We generally
got
get spotted
pictures
at
with
least
them.
once
And
a week.
it was just
That's
weird. 3 random people in Singapore. We were not expecting this.
No way.
No, and when we started wearing these shirts, John's like, it's your uniform. You know, do you have your uniform on? And I'm like, oh, these are ugly. But I mean, they're not.
I like that too.
And so, you know, one leg that we went out on, I decided not to wear my shirt all the time. But, when we first started, he's like, "Oh, people will subscribe.
We have the scan. We have the QR code on the back.
QR code in the back." And so we started wearing it for that, and then we quickly realized that that's not growing us. But what we realized is when we're abroad, people will stop us and they'll say, "Oh, what is this?" Or "I want to retire," or "I love your shirt," or "I want to travel," or "Is this a group?" It always brings in conversation. And we have met so many people in these shirts. It is the craziest
It's incredible
thing.
Conversation starter.
It is an incredible.
And that's why we can never get rid of them.
I mean, I would never be able to take it off.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, if I wanted to be left alone one day, maybe I would.
Yeah.
I want to be like incognito.
Our
but-
oldest daughter is an attorney in Baltimore, and she sent us this note, and she said, "Keep wearing your shirt." And it was an article about Sarah Blakely from Spanx. And when she started her company, she wore her T-shirt all the time to every meeting for years while she was trying to get it off the ground. And Ashley's like, see, Mom, you guys need to keep doing this. And I told John, I said, it's not that she needed to advertise her brand. She needed to be reminded every day, I have a purpose. We're a team. That's what we are reminded of with our shirts. And it's who we meet. And we've met some great people because of the shirts.
It kind of comes back to, we do some videos on retirement as well. And, it's retiring to something. So for a lot of people in retirement, it's a hard transition.
Yeah.
But we actually have this bigger thing called retirement travelers that we're constantly bouncing ideas off of each other. And it's something bigger in our lives that keep us, very busy, keep us learning, keep us active. And so it's
meeting
really
people.
Meeting people.
That's so important in
retirement.
retirement.
all the things that can happen to you negatively in retirement, we have retirement travelers that just keep us on our toes all the time. So it's really it's a great way to do retirement.
Well, I love that you guys, and I feel like we need to go back a little bit because we just fast forwarded from 1,000 subscribers in 1 year to now like where you're at. But was there any point where you're like, maybe we should just enjoy this and not YouTube? Or did you always have that fire
We almost quit twice.
Okay.
We were in the Balkans our first year abroad, and I said, wait a minute. I never really set out to be an editor. I wanted to be a blogger. I wanted to write. I love writing, and I wanted to write. And so we stopped and we said, okay, let's create a website. And we had a website, but it was one from WordPress.com. And to have a good website, it needs to be self-hosted. It needs to have the ability to, have a lot of traffic. We didn't want to create something that, or especially spend a lot of time creating something that wasn't useful for advertising later on. We wanted to build a good blog. So we stopped. We thought it'd take maybe 6 weeks to get it done, and it took us like 6 months to get it up and get it going. And there was just such a learning curve. I just had no idea what all we needed to know. And so we, at that time, decided maybe we should just blog.
We took 6 months off of YouTube.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then we started back. We went to the South Pacific and Australia, New Zealand, and we said, okay, let's try again. Let's just put some videos out there, and then it took off.
Well, but it wasn't even that. We started in New Zealand, and we thought New Zealand's going to just blow us up. It didn't do anything. And we actually, it was a couple non-travel videos that went crazy. We had some good content, we thought, but we decided to not stay at Airbnbs. We had some bad experiences.
No, I think our first thing that went out in when we were in here was our life without stuff, and we talked about.
Was that not right after?
No, that was before.
Oh, that was our life
was
without
our
So we had
stuff.
two around the same time that kind of resonated.
The first was a life without stuff, and that was a good topic.
Oh, that's such a good
That's
topic
a
for right
great
now.
topic.
And so what had happened with that was, it wasn't just that video went out. If you, and I'm sure, Christine, you know this, you put out a video and you get the love of everything comes together on a video, but it's not one video that goes out because we were deeper and we had more content.
Yep, that's
all
right
the
there.
others.
Oh, she's preaching to y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all are taking notes and listening.
We had like 10 or 12 videos all
that went out
up
at one time because they restarted, because we had content, because we had new, so many new viewers coming in with that one video. And it wasn't one video that sent us up. It was 12 videos that sent up because they were done a year before and when we thought, oh, nothing's happening, but we were trying to create good content all along. So it was quality content in the past that then got another boost. Later we did a video on the Airbnb, and that went out too. And in your content, when you have a good one to go out, then your old content can rise if you make good stuff.
That's
and
a good
so that
point.
was what we were trying to do.
That is such
and I
a
know
good
you know
point.
that, but it's hard to learn that lesson as a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had the luxury of I didn't know what I was doing and I had no goals. I was a stay-at-home mom and I was like, I just need something, and so I was just putting them up.
Yeah.
And I had one video that went crazy, and there was two that kind of I redid a banister, which everybody has a honey oak banister that they would like to maybe redo. And then I had another one that was just like a basic chalk paint thing, and those two together and I wasn't even making consistent content, but it was that was like, okay, maybe now that I have time, if I make consistent content, it might become something. But then I had to put in work for 6 months and nothing happened.
Yes.
But then another one of those videos hit, and then it was then my channel was cemented when that second wave hit of I put the work in, that second wave hit, and then it was just there was no going back. And still, I don't get the views that I used to get today. I think my niche is oversaturated. But I've told this story 100 times. I had a video that I put out this year that just went bananas, and it has 1.2 million views. Yeah. And I thought those days of my channel were over, and it just goes to show you that if you just keep putting content out and you put quality into it and you put effort into it, you're not just throwing everything up there. If you're intentional about it and it's true to you, it's authentic to you.
And on the outside,
anything can happen.
Yeah. On the outside, people could look at that one video and say, oh, this is why she did it. It's this one video. But it wasn't just that one video that did it. It's all the others that did it, because you have to have depth. A lot. I think YouTube oftentimes puts out new creator content. They give it a boost. And when a new channel starts, they get kind of a boost. Usually, if you're like us, you were so bad when you get started out that it didn't really do much for us. But it's the depth. It's keep on creating, and it can all go out.
But in that, you guys didn't know how to edit or make videos. It took that time to learn how to make videos. You saw us set all this up. This is the first time we're doing.
We didn't have a push out at the very beginning. I'm glad, because it didn't.
You weren't ready.
We didn't know anything about. She was on Facebook. I had no social media while I was.
So you hadn't even watched YouTube.
If I needed to know how to repair something, it was only for how-to stuff. Okay. That was it. No enjoyment or entertainment. I would just watch sports on TV. Okay. So I knew really nothing about.
He didn't know what a vlog was.
I didn't know
and
what
I'm
a
like,
vlog
well, this
was.
is what a vlog is. This is kind of what we want to do.
Well, and I said,
I didn't know what a vlog was either. I called all my first videos vlogs. They were not. They were tutorials, but I called them vlogs.
I said, people are actually going to want to see us walk around this. I feel stupid,
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. We talked about this a little bit before we hit record, but just the practicalities of what you do to film as you travel. Can you talk to us a little bit about the equipment you use, how you're capturing this footage, and the challenges of doing that in countries all across the world?
We've used so one of the biggest misnomers about vlogging is that you need a lot of equipment. And one of our things is to travel light. So those two things don't always line up together, because we want a good camera, but we also want light. And we started off with more equipment than we needed, and we've tried lots of different setups. And for us, because there's two of us, when we started off, I just chopped John's head off all the time. So we're walking along and we might have a great segment, but then I've chopped his head off. And so we really struggled with that. And then we finally found a lens that worked for our camera, and we held it out. And people think we have a camera operator. It's so funny.
Now, is he a lot taller than you? Is that why you're always chopping his head off?
Yeah, he's about a foot tall.
Okay.
No, not quite a foot, but a
And
good
then
5 or
we
6
we
inches.
started using the 360, Insta 360, and
that helps.
that's really slick.
But we use a lot of GoPro. But we've right now we have really tried to carry light because we carry everything in a backpack. We don't carry roller bags. We carry only backpacks. Everything we own is in.
You
our
guys are
backpack.
ready for the Amazing Race. Have you submitted
know.
an application to the Amazing Race yet? I mean, I know you're already running your own Amazing Race, but
We did submit
we,
it.
we actually
Okay.
did. We didn't get.
haven't picked you.
did not get-
These
we did-
producers
we did
don't know
not
what they're
get
doing.
picked,
We did not
so-
get picked, so we kind of gave up on that. And
Yeah.
we thought, okay, they don't want us, but maybe we're too old for them. I don't
guess.
know.
No.
thought,
We would
okay.
be the oldest winners if we.
hey, you got, if anybody's going to do it, I think you guys could.
know.
I think we could do amazing.
But I got
race.
you off track.
Yes,
you carry
but
backpacks.
So now we have kind of gotten down to carrying our phones. Phones are so good these days. iPhone 15s are so good. I mean, just so good.
You hear
And
that, Apple? We need a
Yes.
sponsorship
I
here.
know.
Yeah.
We
for
even
these
went
two.
to Africa this last leg, and we did not take a good camera. We just took our iPhones and a GoPro. And
What do
we
you do for
filmed-
audio on your phones? Do you do voiceovers
We
after,
have
or are you doing
DJI
some in the moment?
Mics
Okay.
that are, but when we're walking around, we just carry. We do have the creator
on our
system
GoPro.
on our GoPro,
Okay.
so it has a little better microphone.
Okay, cool.
But we've kind of found as we've traveled that, our vlogs aren't as popular as what we had hoped they would be. So we've been doing a lot more tutorial type
More
things.
more
Okay.
voiceovers, and then
And, yeah.
we'll set up and just talk.
But if
people like to hear us talk just as much as walk around and
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
do stuff.
They
So
want
That's
to know
good to
how
know.
to do it. They want to learn how to travel themselves. They don't really want to watch us.
They want to be inspired. They want to be encouraged that they can do
They
it.
probably have enough friends. I mean, they
Yeah.
love you and you're lovely
Yeah.
people, but they
And
don't
we do
necessarily
have
want to be your friend. They
Yeah.
want to
Yeah,
learn
that's
from
right.
you.
They
But,
want
the
to-
same
but
time,
as
yeah.
you know, a lot of YouTubers a lot of viewers, they come into your channel and then they may go away for a while and then
Yeah.
they come back and they watch everything and then they go. And we do have some that watch every week.
Oh,
and
we
they
have
send
we
us-
have one
Aw,
we have
you have
one
super
guy
fans.
that's gone back and he's commented on every single video.
This
sweet.
man from Colorado. He's the nicest, most caring person. He compliments us, encourages us. We don't even know this man. His name is Anonymous One, and he comments on our channel all the time.
But he has offered to stay, so he's in
Yeah,
he's
so
in our
he's on-
spreadsheet.
Okay, so he
So
might
next
not be
time
anonymous
We're
soon.
in Denver. We will.
Okay.
I mean, what a great person to be so gracious.
So sweet.
Because some people choose to just be negative.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm curious just about travel stuff and what your favorite travel spots are. Your favorite cuisine that you've tried. I know we talked about some that was maybe not so favorite earlier. I'm just curious because what your channel did for me when I watched it is make it seem not so far off the possibility of being able to travel the world.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a little bit younger, but just the thought, a lot of people think it's out of reach, that they could never afford it, that they could never do this. And you guys have made it simplified and seem attainable for just regular people. So I'd just love to hear like the favorite places you've gone, like your favorite cuisines, like what have you learned from traveling the world?
That's a lot of questions.
Yeah, it's a lot.
One clarification: you're a lot younger than we are. Okay, so-
No, well, maybe not as much as you think.
Well, we were just talking about that. One of the things that travel's done for us is it has shrunk the world. I would say 10 years ago, if you'd say, oh, go to India or Sri Lanka or somewhere, it would seem like this place that's far, far away. And we've been to 104 countries now, and we feel like every place we have the memories, we have the visuals of each place, we have all the memories that it doesn't. It's like it's shrunk the world down for us.
Yeah, that's true. And that if we're thinking about all the things about travel, one of the things that travel has taught us is that the world is full of good people, like really good people. And no matter what country we're in, and we didn't know this before. I mean, we knew that people were good, but what we didn't know is we started off traveling, and when we would put out a video, and we started in Panama, and then we went to Costa Rica, and then we went to Guatemala. But as we would go through these countries, we would get comments back from people that lived there who would say, oh, thank you for sharing our beautiful country with the world. And we never really realized that people love their country. They love where they're from. They love their families. And people are so gracious to us. I mean, gracious on the street, telling us. In Panama, I remember this one woman stopping us and saying, don't go that way. It's not safe. Or, we've had that happen several times.
Or sharing their country in a good light. We had many people say, don't go to Guatemala. You're going to get robbed, kidnapped, murdered, whatever. The people were so kind and nice, absolute opposite.
And it's not as scary
hear.
as you think.
Yeah.
And people are, of course, there's areas everywhere in the world that you don't want to travel to, but there's areas in the U.S. that I don't want to travel to. But there are areas all over the world that are really not as bad as we imagine. And Hollywood likes to say that, they like Serbia. The bad guys from Serbia. And Serbia was so nice, and they were so
those
lovely.
Stereotypes,
The stereotypes. And so when people say, where are you headed? And we tell them, and they're like, oh, is that safe? Well, that's the first question we get.
And we had several people tell Bev, oh, if you go to India, the men are going to be all over you, in your face. And we had people getting up off the Delhi metro insisting that Bev sit down and we sit down in a crowded metro. And you wouldn't see that in the States.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's lovely people everywhere. Yeah. And just that is the overwhelming theme of our travel, is that people are good. People care about where they're at. We laugh because a lot of people have opinions about American politics, but as we travel, we hear these stories. We were in Romania, and we started in Timișoara, and we made a route through the country. And in Timișoara is where the revolution started, breaking away from the Soviet Union, and to hear their story of freedom, and then to go through all of these cities, and everywhere in these cities we visited, the people who died in the revolution are buried in the town square.
There'd be
That's how
graveyards
powerful
in the
it
center.
is. They love that they're free. And so we met this, when we were in Vietnam, we met this gentleman who said, I love my country. I don't love communism. We hear things like that about people in search of happiness and freedom, and it's a common theme around the world.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful.
And we love street performers and people that are out there hustling. We were in Colombia.
We feel like we're hustling a little bit too.
Yeah,
we can relate.
As older YouTubers, but we met this group of boys in Medellin, Colombia, and they do. I don't know how to describe
breakdancing,
kind of breakdancing, all extreme fitness stuff. These guys have like 2% body fat, and every time there's a red light, they go out and dance for about a minute, and then get paid by the people, at the cars that come by. But we actually, befriended them and bought them some food. And they're all from Venezuela. They're all refugees, have fled to Colombia, and that's how they're getting by, is performing on the street. But there's so many stories like that all over the world of people that are out there just working hard, trying to make a better life for themselves and create something.
You guys are going to be able to write a book one day. Is that like a dream on your heart? Maybe?
Yeah,
yes, maybe.
Okay, so are you taking pictures where you go to?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That is nice. I mean, we have, between the video and YouTube and our blogs, we have a great history, of our travels out there. So and good, we don't necessarily, when we downsized, we gave all of our pictures to our kids, but this is a living legacy of our retirement years.
Really?
You've asked us what our favorite places are, though. We do want to talk about that.
We do.
Okay, let's hear it.
Tell your favorite.
Oh gosh, the problem is I have so many. So I have a couple different types, and one is I love to run. I've run my entire life. And I'm the scout. So when we go to a new place, I usually go out and run. And I say, hey, we got to go there, and there. But when we were in South Africa, Cape Town, I don't know if you're familiar with Cape Town, but there's a thing called Lion's Head Rock. And it's a steep steep climb. You can't run the whole way.
They went there on Dude Perfect, so you might have seen it if your kids
I
watched
have
that
seen that one.
episode.
So I ran as far as I could and then went up there, and then you're standing up on top of this rock looking at Table Mountain and Cape Town and the ocean, and you're just like you're on the top of the world. It's just incredible feeling. And I've had runs from Bryce Canyon National Park to all over the world. The runs are what I really remember. As far as particular places, I like turquoise water. I like the Lake Bled in Slovenia is incredible place. And a memory for me is getting over some fears of bungee jumping was off the original birthplace of bungee in New Zealand. It's called Kararu Bridge near Queenstown. Standing up on that platform and looking out over the gorge and the thing, and knowing that I was going to have to jump off of that. But that was a memory and a place that I'll never forget. So.
I mean, you guys are already running the Amazing Race. This is why you don't need to go on it. You would
incredible.
Yeah.
But my favorite,
All right, let's hear it, Bob.
favorite place is in Indonesia. There's this area in Indonesia called Raja Ampat. It's in the eastern part. Indonesia has like 18,000 islands. So in the eastern part, south of the Philippines, it's from the Philippines down through the eastern part through Papua New Guinea, and that area is called the Coral Triangle. So 75% of the world's known coral lives in that area. And it's very difficult to travel to. For us to get there, we had to take an overnight flight. And so it's the number one spot for diving and snorkeling in the world. But there aren't very many tourists that go there because it's so hard to get to. You can't just fly over from the U.S. You have to have a little bit of extra time. And we stayed in a little hut on the side of on this private island. There was one other couple there at the resort we were at, and it was like $300 a night for all of our food, and I think we paid $50 to go out on the boat to snorkel, and we weren't dive certified, but we got in the water, and you put your face in the water, and there's thousands of fish, like everywhere you turn your head, every color imaginable, fish everywhere, and they weren't really scared of us. And I just remember coming up, taking my mask off, shaking John, and saying, God made such a beautiful world. Can you believe this? This is so beautiful. And it was just, I almost cried because I've never seen anything as beautiful as that. And it was just wonderful. And it's affordable if you can get there, but it's certainly better than we were at Bora Bora before, and it was better snorkeling than Bora Bora. It was, for a fourth of the cost, even with the flight over.
Wow. That is incredible. Yeah. And, this leads me into another question about this adventurous spirit, because I feel like fear keeps so many people from doing so many things, whether it's starting a YouTube channel, traveling the world. Have you guys always had this adventurous spirit of like, let's just do it, let's try it, let's figure it out? Or along the way, did you have to overcome some fear?
I think for me, I grew up in Arkansas, and, I think John and I, he's from West Virginia, and our families kind of break the stereotype of the hillbilly, but our families were very interested in our education and making sure that we were educated. But when I was young, my father decided when I was about 7 years old that we watched too much television at our house. And so he got rid of our television. And I grew up, we had 100 acres, and I grew up in the country with our family. It was kind of odd because he played golf. And so we played golf, and he built a practice range, and we were big golfers, so we played golf, but we also had no television. And the first time I ever heard my mother tell a lie was, I remember her taking us, because we lived in a rural area where there were no libraries. And when you have 4 kids with no TV, you got to give them some books. And my mother took us to the library in another town, and she lied to the librarian to tell him that we lived there in our address. And I remember thinking, we don't live here. But she did that to get us books. And we went to the library a lot. And I just grew up reading just tons of books. And so, my siblings and I, we read everything we could get our hands on. And so I heard, and even at family time in the evening, my parents would read out loud to us. So they always read books that were above my reading level. And I heard all the children's classics, and I heard great stories. And they subscribed to National Geographic and, Ranger Rick, and every magazine. We had magazines, we had books, they let us buy books on book clubs, and we always had lots of stories in our home. My father was a good storyteller, but my father was also a problem solver. He could solve a problem. He always said, if somebody else could build it and put it together, I can figure out how to take it apart and fix it. And so that was his mentality, and I just kind of grew up in that. John's family, he grew up in a home where in West Virginia, his father was a state trooper, and they brought in foreign exchange students into his home. So his siblings were 7 and 8 years older than him, and they always had foreign exchange students, and his parents wanted them to learn another language. And so they sent their older kids off to, live as a foreign exchange student.
Yeah, my brother and sister actually went to college in Madrid. Yeah. And so my brother's fluent in 7 languages or whatever, and my sister is Spanish. And my mom actually took me out of school in 5th grade, and we spent a month in, at the time, the most dangerous city in the world of Medellin, Colombia, when the drug cartels owned it. I actually still can't believe we did that. But that really, that has...
You went to school with the children
went
there
to school
for a month.
with the kids there, but the contacts that they've had, and my brother became a school teacher and taught at my high school for 40 years. And I had him as a teacher. His very first year of being a teacher, I was in 10th grade. And he for I think all 40 years, he took a group of school kids around the world somewhere to a trip. So he got his trips paid for, but he had to organize, and he changed the lives of so many kids around the world. And it also, for me, I got to go to Mexico and Spain and Portugal with him when I was in high school. And then I got to travel quite a bit with my job. So, getting to see the world and traveling, and Bev's interest in traveling, we always knew we wanted to travel. This little work thing and 5 kids and all that got in the way of but not only that. One of the things that we tell ourselves as far as mistakes that we made is, as I would get a promotion or move, we would tend to buy a bigger home. Mm-hmm. And in retrospect, if we would look back, we would not have done that. We would have spent that money traveling more with our kids internationally, and we realize now we did not need the bigger home. Especially after the kids left home, we still bought bigger homes that we didn't need.
Yeah,
and so we kind of learned our lesson there.
When we started on this trip, and we decided just to sell everything, to sell our home, give away all of our stuff, and we're down to 2 backpacks, and we did keep our golf clubs at our daughter's house, but that's kind of it.
People ask us, where do you have a storage unit? No, we don't have a storage unit. Yeah. Where's your stuff? We don't have any stuff.
I love that you brought this up again, because that was like a question that was rolling around in my head, is do you miss your home? And do you miss your stuff?
No.
That is people need to hear that.
Our life is so much bigger than that. Now, if we could go back in time, and John mentioned this, if, we've heard of people who take their kids out of school for a year and go travel around the world. Their children are changed forever. And we want to do that with our grandkids. We want our grandkids to be able to travel with us, and we want to show them the world. Mm-hmm. We don't know what they're going to be in their life. They may be writers, they may be missionaries, they may be whatever, and we want to give them that sense of humanity and to know what the world is like. It's not like here. It's different, and it's okay. And everywhere is great. I mean, not everywhere is great, but it's good for kids to see that. Yeah. We wish we had done more.
It's easy for your kids to get caught up in their own little neighborhood and world and school and not see, what it's like. A lasting impression to me is we were on a 2-day Mekong River cruise between Laos and Thailand, and we stopped at this little village, and it was dirt poor, no electricity, no running water, and we were delivering toothbrush and crayons and stuff pencils to the kids. Every single kid there had a smile on his face or her face, and we were greeted with a bow, and they were just
they did not
precious.
Put their hand on their toothbrush until they thanked you.
Yeah. Wow.
It was the
they had
first.
nothing. They
had
from a
nothing.
material standpoint, and yet their attitudes were just fantastic. It's good teaching for many adults.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and it sounds like you have community now because you have your YouTube community and then you have the people that you're meeting out in the world. I imagine that's different than the way you were living your life when you had a home and you had stuff. So is there anything that you miss about like that community, like your neighbors and getting to see people and live life with them? Do you miss that?
Someone commented early on to us that I feel sorry for you because you have no friends. They seriously said that.
We rebuke you.
Yes.
I feel sorry for you because you have no friends. But, our friends back home, I think our friends appreciated that we took off and did this while we were young. And during our go-go years, a lot of people don't take advantage of the time. We know we're on a limited, runway. We know our years of travel are limited. But for us, before we left, we were living in a golf community and very active community in Florida. And our friends were, it was a big neighborhood and big community. And we were part of a big community there. But it was also kind of a bubble. Everybody was there together, and that's kind of how snowbirding is. You go to Florida, but
that's the dream, right? That's what everybody says the dream is.
But we kind of got there too early. We were there in our 50s, early 50s, and the average age was 70. So when we looked around and said, we could sell this and go travel the world. We have time now. We can always come back to this. Mm-hmm. Our friends that we left are so good. They send us notes. They will text us and say, "Hey, where are you?
We actually had dinner with some in Louisville that go
Just
back and
recently.
forth.
Oh, perfect.
Louisville and Florida. We met them the other day.
And so we meet up with people. Sometimes we'll travel. Last year we took the Rocky Mountaineer with some of our friends from Florida. So we flew in there and they met up with us and we traveled with them.
We think back of the conversations we had, and it's how are they doing at the golf community? It was I don't like the way they're doing the next golf tournament, or who's going to be on the landscaping committee, and the new proposal for the restaurant is overpriced, and those are the kind of things we're talking about. Now we're talking about things together and world stuff, and I think we're more interesting talking about the stuff that we're talking about now versus some of the stuff that you end up talking about in an HOA.
Yeah. Well, your story is very encouraging to me because as you're talking about being a stay-at-home mom and, I'm going to cry. Don't do it, Christina. And talking about traveling a lot. Like, we know what that's like. We know what that takes out of both of you. And so do you feel like this season and getting to be together so much, like what have you learned about each other, or what has become like sweeter in this season?
She hasn't shot me yet.
I feel that too, because sometimes when my husband's home, I'm like, I need you to just like go back out on the road so I can just do what I normally do.
How do you get your alone time? What do you do for alone time? And we don't really... John goes and runs, and that's kind of his alone time. And I know that he's running away from me, truthfully. But no, then sometimes he's an early riser, and I'm a late night owl, so I get a little alone time at night. I think we appreciate each other and respect each other, and we're on a grand adventure.
I think having the retirement travelers as a backdrop is actually helping, because it's something we're doing together to build, to something we're building together. And I think that's important.
I'm curious too, if the elimination of stuff, do you think makes the marriage even that much richer? Because I just wonder myself, if I'm thinking about it, how much does the stuff complicate relationships?
We don't have to mow the yard. We don't have to fix anything. We don't even have to clean our own house. We don't do any of the
Your
things
bills
that you
are
have
probably
to do.
very limited. I would
think.
think.
We have travel bills, but
we have you heard of Swedish death cleaning? Have you ever heard?
I've heard of it, but I don't think I know what it is.
It's basically preparing your life so that your kids don't have all your stuff to deal with.
Oh yes,
as you get older.
I'm here for this.
And we took it to the extreme level and actually encouraged people early in their retirement to think about this. but we have digitized everything. Everything's in a secure vault. We have estate planning all done. We have no stuff. Basically, if we were hit by a bus tomorrow, our kids, other than the grieving of the loss of us, they wouldn't have any other stuff to deal with.
Just 10 retirement traveler shirts.
Yeah, shirts. So we really think that's important. And as far I've told people this before, that the travel has impacted us greatly on how we see the world, but the lack of stuff has been just as big a deal. And I do part of my little fun thing. It's doesn't add any value other than I enjoy it. We do Tuesday trivia on our YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
So every Tuesday I put out a trivia question, and the one this week, or today actually, is about how much do Americans spend on storage units?
I bet it's
$44 billion a year.
Wow.
$44 billion industry on storing stuff that they probably don't even need.
Yeah.
So
I'm in the process of shutting mine down. It's been sitting there with 4 pieces of furniture in there. When I went to finally go, I hadn't been there in 6 months. Yeah. So you know how much money I've thrown away in 6 months? Because there was a period where I needed it just because I was flipping so much furniture. Well, that slowed down. I went there. I was like, I don't even know the number of it. I know where it is. I opened it. There were 4 pieces of furniture in there. I'm like, I could have had this in my garage. I have to shut this down immediately. I cannot spend one more month on it. And I can't imagine.
See, and that's the thing.
How many people are like that?
We don't buy souvenirs.
Like what's in
when
there?
Our kids when our grandkids learn to tell time, we buy them a watch somewhere, or we might bring them back a little bit of candy. But we don't even give them a Christmas present. When you met us on the cruise, that was their Christmas present. Was getting to a cruise. Or our goal is to not give them things. And we told our kids, tell your children and reinforce this. We want them to know that it's not about stuff, and we would rather take you on a trip or meet up and go fishing. We just did fishing in Arkansas with our grandkids, and let's do experiences, and let's not we don't buy souvenirs. We don't have room for it in the bag. We just carry our backpacks. So I have to go deeper on this. How many videos do you have on like stuff and getting rid of stuff and minimalism? We've only done a few of
4
those.
maybe.
Okay. Have they all done well?
Pretty well.
Yeah.
Pretty
Life
well.
without stuff was the biggie.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably our two of our top 10 are definitely doing.
So we have a little bit of minimalism, a little bit of retirement, a little bit of travel how-to, and then some vlogs.
So say you got there's your 4 pillars right there.
Yes.
So,
nice. Is there one in particular that you enjoy making over the others?
We love our vlogs.
Okay,
but
good. So you're doing it for you, but other people don't. It's okay.
We don't. She loves the vlogs. I don't really enjoy the vlogs. I would rather sit and talk about retirement.
He has so much to say about that.
Yeah.
I want to encourage people even at your age to be saving, and how can I reach out to a younger generation and say, don't make the mistakes that I did. Don't buy that.
Well, and what age did you retire at?
At 55.
At 55? Yeah. You need to keep putting that content out.
So we're part of us is retirement, part of us is travel. But but we want to be a travel channel.
Yeah.
But retirement is certainly part of it, and it's important.
The other thing that we get a lot, we get so many comments as you do as well. But one of the things I didn't realize is we get a lot of comments from single women who say, not single, or married women that say, I want to travel, but my husband won't leave.
It's really heartbreaking.
And I bet we've had 100 of those kind of comments, or solo travelers. And so the connection, if you're not aligned with your spouse or partner in retirement, it can really throw things. So, we both do, some give and take as far as, she said, why don't we just sell everything? And I said, okay, let's do it.
Well, that was not it. That was not your
pretty
answer.
darn close.
Let me tell you, the first thing he said is, people will think we're crazy. And we're embarrassed that we had conversations about what people would think of us.
Yeah.
And
That's real.
We had
That's
just
real.
remodeled our whole condo right on a river, beautiful place in Florida.
the dream home that we always
Right?
dreamed of.
And we actually was featured in a magazine called Our Forever Home. And then 1 year later, it's like, we're going to sell it and go travel the world, just like that.
And we don't regret it.
Not a bit.
Listen to that. People need to hear
I
that.
know,
Yeah.
people do.
It's
need
a
to
You're
thing.
a man. Sometimes we just don't do things because like, well, no one's ever done that, or what will people think? And look at like the fruit you guys have had since you've started this, and you just obviously are just so full of joy and just
Yeah.
lovely people, and the things that you're learning and you're able to share with other people. Like you are like living your best life in what's supposed to be just like the swan song where you just kind of relax and rest, and you guys are just
People have a lot more in them than they know.
so
That's
beautiful.
right.
Yeah, that's what I kind of wanted to ask you is what are your words of encouragement to people who are nearing retirement or they are retired and they think it's just too late to start
It's
that
not
new
too late.
business, to
We
start
have-
traveling?
I guess it's because we're older and because we're doing this, we are attracted to stories that other people have that where they're doing something later in life. And while we wouldn't recommend everybody start a YouTube channel because it's hard and it's frustrating and it's a lot, it isn't always what you imagine it would be. We were just kind of jumping in, but people have the ability to create something. And for my mom, she loves to write. And I'm like, Mom, put it on the family, write something and put it out on the family Facebook group. And you can't know what you want, what you can create until you try to make it. There are many older people in this world that create something and create a business or discover something or do something grand, and they're older, and that's okay. You know, our life isn't over until it's over.
Yeah, but I would say to people that have had a long career doing something and they retired, my initial thought, I was tired after 34 years of travel, and I was like, I'm gonna kick back and relax for a while. And looking back at that was the wrong approach. Yeah, I think people lower the bar in retirement. That I've done my good deeds in my work career. Now I'm going to kick back and relax. But actually, it's a time to even step up the bar. You have a lifetime of knowledge and learning that you've done. Why not share that gift with others?
Oh, that's beautiful.
And now's the time to actually impact that next generation and change lives and encourage and inspire. And you usually have more resources and you have more experience and more knowledge. Why not share that gift? And that's what we're trying to do. That's what I would tell people. Don't settle.
Yeah.
Don't give up yet.
Dream big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask like one more business question before we wrap it up, because to me, if I was a marketer, I would want to hire y'all for 500 different things. Have you worked with brands yet? Is that something that you want to do or that
It
you
is
like
something
doing?
We want to do.
Okay.
We obviously get people reach out to us, but we didn't want to sell coffee cups at the beginning, and we didn't want to nickel and dime our audience,
Yeah.
and we didn't want to do that. But now we wanted to build up and feel comfortable with who we were as creators, and we're kind of there now where we feel like we could work with brands.
Okay.
We have affiliate links
But we do want to work with some brands, and that's not out of the question for us.
Okay,
But that's
perfect. So
something
that might be something that's coming in the future.
Well,
Okay.
when we started this, we said let's 5 years go see the world, develop credibility and authority in world travel and in our genre, and then year 5 to 10 would be
what is going to come
lay
our
the
way. Let's
foundation.
be
Right.
patient.
Be
Right.
patient and don't get in a hurry. And
Okay.
the next 5 years is hopefully growing our business.
Yeah.
and
We
having-
know that we can't do everything well, and we've learned that. And we don't do Instagram stories very often because that's time consuming, and we can better focus on our blog. Or you can't do everything.
You
as
can't.
a creator,
That's right.
you have to pick and choose, and we learned that the hard way, right?
Yeah.
And so I think the same thing with the brands. We want to do that, and we see potential in that. And, we've just tried to say, let's be patient. We don't have to rush into that one, and we don't have to rush into this, and let's build. We definitely want to be authentic, and we don't want to recommend something. We don't take free stays. That's kind of our one rule. We will not take a free stay.
Oh, wow.
We don't want to be on a sponsored stay. We want to be able to tell our
Now, have you been offered a lot of those?
We've been offered some.
Okay.
And we've decided that's where we're kind of drawing the line.
Okay.
We want to be able to be honest about what we are doing. And we don't want to recommend a place that we didn't really just love. So in our videos or vlogs, if you don't hear us say where we stayed, it's because we didn't like it.
Oh, a little insider info there.
Yeah. So if you hear us say, oh, we stayed here, we loved it.
There are a few Airbnb hosts that don't necessarily like us.
Okay.
Because we don't stay at Airbnb anymore. But other than that, yeah. We see
I love that.
potential. We definitely started this out as a business. We didn't do it to entertain ourselves, and we didn't do it to entertain everyone else. We really did start out with a business plan of trying to create a business on it. But we knew we needed to be smart about it, not jump at everything, and not every little pretty sparkly thing we didn't need to go for.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I was hearing when you were talking about Instagram stories. I was like, yeah, you guys weren't chasing after the shiny things. And then you just said that. I'm like, whoa, okay. Yeah, I think you guys have built something just beautiful and really solid. And just to hear the integrity behind it, I am fully believing that really big things are going to be coming your way in the future. So we wish you the best in the future. And you brought a little something. Can you reach it? Can you get it?
We haven't shown this to even our audience.
No
yet.
way.
Oh, wow.
Well, hopefully you'll show it to him before this goes live. Hopefully.
Here.
So we got to open this up.
We haven't even shown it.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, show it right there. Retirement travelers for passing 100,000 subscribers.
Let me tell you a
with
funny story.
Do you guys have any shorts on your channel?
A few. Just a few. But nothing's gone out.
They don't have any views. So it's on long format content.
But I have to tell you something. When we were on the cruise where we met you, our little 8-year-old grandson was walking around, and this group of kids stopped and said, "Can we take a picture with you?" And, because they knew we were YouTubers. And we walked away, and I looked down at Judson and I said, "Your Grammy and Pop are kind of famous." And he says, now, of course, this is not true, of course. And he goes, "I know." It was so good. It was so perfect. I'll never forget that.
And we told him he's going to get to put this on his wall.
Because we don't have a home.
There's stuff right there. But that's fun.
Third grader with a
mine's in my closet. So, that they are fun to get, but it is just a thing. But I want you to know it's just a thing, but that represent, you don't have to keep it. You can throw it away. Yeah. But the fact that y'all did that in post 2020,
right,
on long format content
as old people.
I'm not going to say that, but I mean, it's just such a huge accomplishment. So I hope that you guys know that.
We know we worked hard.
We know we worked hard.
That. And I think we determined that we've made about 11 cents an hour over the last 4 years. So we haven't necessarily done this to get rich, but it's
there's hope there.
The journey has been fun so far.
Yeah, and I think we like to kind of do a little encouragement at the end of the episodes when we're meeting with people, and you guys are just an encouragement to your generation. We're seeing so many 50 plus creators coming up, and really, just figuring this thing out there, because there's trailblazers like you saying no, we're not done yet, and we don't know how to do any of this, but we're going to do it. And it's all learnable. I think that we've seen another couple get monetized in 3 months or something, and their content isn't super sparkly. They have a long way to go, but they got monetized because they set a goal. And they set their mind to it, and they weren't trying to do the quick thing and all the 500 things, because you guys have been through so much and have that knowledge and have that wisdom. I just think that it could be I think we're going to see an explosion of 50 plus creators, and you guys are really trailblazers in this area that have figured it out. And I hope that you're an encouragement and an inspiration to people watching. We have a lot of older people in our audience. And I think it's just really going to encourage them that hey, no, this isn't done yet. I can do this. And so I just want to thank you for your yes and your obedience and your just wisdom to start doing this from the very beginning and saying yes to it, because I know it's probably been hard, and there have probably been times when we're well, it would just be nice to be doing this and not have to document all of it. But your story is important, and just what you're going to give to those future creators coming down the pipe is huge.
Yeah, I think it is going to be such an encouragement to people, not only who want to maybe create a YouTube channel, but just who want to live a rich, full life, you know, after retirement, because I think just seeing you guys and how much fun you have, and you're so full of life that anything is really possible. Like you said, when you said it, just create, like the freedom to create, like whatever that is, to encourage people to not let fear hold them back in maybe their later years. I think it's really special. And I also just have to honor you, because I think your marriage is just really, really beautiful. And the way that you guys complement each other and talk to each other is just, that's a testimony in itself, of how much you guys love each other, and the relationship that we've just witnessed here and on your channel is really beautiful too. So
yeah, and thank you for being so kind when I just ran up to you like a crazy person on the ship, being like, "Hi, let's be friends." And you guys were so kind to me. So I don't always get that response from people
at that point. And then we got back to our room, and I said, "Oh my goodness, she's so big! And look at this, Christina Mascari." And then I'm like texting our daughters, like, "Do you know who this is?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, Mom, I follow her on Instagram. Don't you know who she is?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." So. No,
we just bonded over YouTube. YouTube is just this thing that has brought so many wonderful things in my life. And I'm just so grateful that y'all drove down, that we got to do this in person. This is just like a really special moment for us.
Yes.
And I just want to thank you for taking the time to drive down, because this is like I said, this is the first interview that we're doing in our home. And it just feels like one of those milestone podcasts for us. And we're like you, like we've been doing this for a year, and we're like, why are we still doing this? Because we have made less than 11 cents an hour. It is painful, but we're monetized, and we have people now coming up to us. Like we just went to a conference, and people coming up being like, "I watched this episode and it encouraged me to go do this. And actually this brand, I got a brand deal from it." And we're like, "Whoa, oh my gosh. Okay. That's stuff awesome. Is actually like happening."
Well, we learned from your podcast, you know, just like we were talking earlier about the woman that was on that talked about the affiliate marketing. You know, she mentioned so many things that I thought, oh gosh, we need to be thinking about that. We need to be doing that. And we listen to other people on your channel, and we just think, oh, that's really good.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Yeah. So again, you guys, thank you so much for coming down here. We just really appreciate you, and having you here. It was so much fun. If you guys want to check out the Retirement Travelers, we're going to put all their information down in the description box. Go subscribe to their channel, leave them a comment, say, "Hey, I came over from the Cypress Room." If you want to travel, they have tons of tips for you on the blog too. So go check out the blog.
Yes. And go ahead and like this video, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. You can also go follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and or Facebook.
Maybe we're doing too many things, Meggie. Maybe we need to be more like the Retirement Travelers and pare it down a little bit. But if you subscribe and share this video and like it and leave a comment, it helps us out so much. So we would appreciate that.
So thank you so much in advance for doing that. We'll see you next time in the Cypress Room.